Got Your Back Podstream is brought to you by Kinprint. For all your company's promotional needs, they do it all. Apparel, promotional products using the highest quality brands. They do logo design, signage, and printing. Kinprint will promote your brand with excellence. Visit kinprint.ca. What's going on, folks? Welcome to Got Your Back post-game edition. The Edmonton Oilers turned some grease into some goals. 3 games. That's a legit streak, Oiler fans. You can actually feel not too bad about. Turning a corner here. Rob Brown and Jason Strudwick both standing by. We got the whole crew in town, and guess what? Zuby's back from his week-long vacation. Chris Sabunia will be around for our Ask Us Anything segment. We've got a great podcast lined up for you. As always, it's brought to you by Sherwood Buick GMC. Fantastic title sponsors. And if you missed out on their big event last month on Friday the 13th, it's not too late. They got another big one going November 24th and 25th. Take advantage of their special Black Friday promotions, up to $7,000 in discounts. Now, you might be thinking, yeah, right. Seriously, go check them out. Tell them Got Your Back sent you, because when you do, you'll get that specialized pricing. You'll also get 3 free ultimate detail packages on new or used vehicles. Take advantage of their special Black Friday promotions, discounts, finance, cash, and trade up bonus as well. Visit gmcpod.com. Coming to you from the luxurious Long Shot Studio here in Sherwood Park. Long shots, an amazing golf, and fantastic sports bar experience. Visit our good friends at longshotswithaz.ca. We're left with a youthful picture of Rob Brown only from his Pittsburgh Penguin days, back when the hairline was a little bit better and the athleticism was a little bit more on point. But Brownie on the phone on his way home, and we got Struds. What's going on tonight, fellas? Struddy, what do you think, man? Bit of a journey for Oiler fan tonight.
Yeah, it was an emotional one, right? It was like a lot of what we'd kind of seen previously, and then they turned the corner and got her done. So, if you went to bed early, you missed out.
Brownie, I was on my way home listening to you and Reed. Always do a great job on Ched. Reed Wilkins. I'm a huge fan, by the way, of Reed on that show in particular. I heard a caller call in and said to you, you are a professor of hockey.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm thinking to myself, his head is going to be so in the clouds by the time he gets on to Got Your Back. Like, is it just a constant compliments on that show, or what was that about?
Well, that was obviously a very astute and very brilliant caller that called in.
How is your uncle, by the way?
Yeah.
Uncle John called in and he said to say hi to you guys too. We had happy callers tonight because there's happy Oiler fans, and I think that for 54 minutes tonight, the Oilers were not great, but for 7 or 8 minutes they were very good, and they stole 2 points. But if you're going to try and find your way back into a playoff race, you're going to need to find ways to steal 2 points, and they did it on the back of goaltending and penalty killing in a fantastic game by Evander Kane.
All right, that was the breakdown brought to you by Rob Brown, apparently. Brownie, you got to learn. You're new. I know you're new on the pod, but, we're going to break the game down in our breakdown segment. The first little bit is just supposed to be a little bit of bullshit, a little bit of BS in between the fellas, and then we get to the breakdown. But you just brought all the goods right away. So that'll be a wrap, folks. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Time for the breakdown.
Everyone gets to go to sleep now. That's it. See, we know what happened. You are welcome.
We got a lot of ground to cover. And by the way, nobody sleeps well unless they've had Struddy's World. And Struddy's World tonight is going to be a deep dive into the locker room. What happens when a coach comes in and starts shuffling guys around the room? Struddy's got that in store for us. Time for the breakdown, brought to you by Mr. Dirk, the iconic men's clothing store here in Edmonton, founded all the way back in 1939. If you haven't had a chance to check it out, it's just off White Avenue and 102nd Street. They really can help you elevate your wardrobe, right? So if you want to up your game when it comes to your suits, your ties, your shirts, your pants, whatever. They've got a huge variety, all kinds of different stuff, different price ranges. It's fantastic. And they can also help you look better casually as well. Everything you need for all parts of your wardrobe. It's MrDirk.com to check out all that they have to offer. Okay, through 40 minutes, Jason Strudwick, you were sitting there thinking what?
That the Oilers had kind of fallen back into some of their old habits, right? Some of the defending was casual, I think would be one way of describing it. And then, you're like, okay, this can't be happening, right? That this team can get going. They weren't really engaged too much. But the old habits kind of fell back into it, Brownie.
I agree. It wasn't pretty. I think that the 3-1 score at the end of 2 was flattering to the Oilers. I think it was a 5-1 or a 6-1. Skinner was excellent through the first 40 minutes and kept the Oilers in the game. But you're right. Casual plays, the odd man break, guys wide open, all the things they were trying to get out of their game really creeped into the game in that second 20 minutes of the game.
Yeah, I sent a tweet, and I'm going to find it here. We sent it from Got Your Back. We're going to start using some of Sportlogic's numbers, and they have some really in-depth numbers, right? And this is a great company. Like, teams subscribe to these guys, networks do. So they do some real great work inside the numbers for Sportlogic. And their numbers tonight on zone entries and zone exits and success rates was pretty stunning how easy a night Seattle had through 40 minutes of getting around out there, basically breaking out at will and gaining the zone at will. The other thing, too, was they had like 66, 67% of the puck battles through 2 periods. Brownie, that's a red flag for me. When I saw that puck battle one, that's a red flag for me. This Oiler team should not be losing the puck battle any nights right now at all. So I guess great that they got to the 2 points, and we'll get to that. But how concerning is a start like that for a team that's where this one's at?
I think it's very concerning. And then you look at Seattle, it's not a big physical team. A lot of their players are 5'11", 6 feet, and they were winning the battle. There's the one goal, Yamamoto out-muscled Bouchard in the corner. And one reason they got rid of Yamamoto was because they didn't feel they could play in the corners. They didn't feel they could play in front of the net when the big games happen in the playoffs. And on that one, he out-muscled Bouchard. So, yeah, it was concerning. And it's something that the Oilers thought they had beaten with the coaching change. But through 40 minutes now, you're like, uh-oh, here we go again.
Struds, what do you make of the puck battle issue?
Yeah, it is a challenge, right? And that is not a skill, right? It's just an attitude, right? And going in and the one that Brownie outlined was a great example. Bouchard kind of had it, but Yamamoto kind of digs in and he has to toss it away. So that's a situation where you have to go in there with the attitude, I'm going to win this puck battle and then take it away. And it really is it's something you should take great pride in, because coaches monitor it so closely, right? Like, are you winning your puck battles, or more of your puck battles you're losing? So it's concerning. And really that should be a staple of the Oilers game, right? That's got to be just a basic foundational piece that we're going to come out and we're just going to win puck battles to start with. And at least we get the puck to start with.
Slot shots were 11-4 Seattle through 40 minutes. Controlled entry success rate, they were 69%. So 69% of the time they tried to get the zone, they got it under control. Edmonton was 35. Controlled exit. So how easily are you getting out of your own zone? 92% for Seattle. 78% for Edmonton, 64-36 were the percentages on the puck battles. So definitely some concerning signs in the first couple of periods. A team that just for some reason isn't able to find ways to shift the tide when they're hitting these lulls. Their second periods have been just atrocious, especially lately. There's a lot to work on, and we could sit here and chew on all of that for an entire segment. But honestly, we've been chewing on a lot of the negativity here, and rightfully so, for a couple of weeks. So let's just push right through to the third. And once again, Struds, a player who's not afraid to get ugly, not afraid to get to the inside, comes up with a massive performance, a secondary score with a natural hat trick for the second time in 3 games that gets this team across the line.
Evander Kane's played, he's been one of the forwards that's been pretty consistent this year, along with Fogle, and probably Hyman are the three guys that are the most consistent. Bigger bodies that, as you talk about, go to the hard areas of the ice. But I think the big thing is Knoblauch talked about in his grand finale there with the press. He talked that we came out with passion, and I agree with that. Like, you could just see the guys got excited. They were jumping. They were playing faster. They were winning more puck battles. I bet you that last 10 minutes or so of the game, or that 7-8 minutes, I bet you they won way more of the puck battles than they did previous two periods. So that passion and that excitement to play, it's sometimes hard to create, but you manufacture it by winning puck battles, and then driving in the front of the net, then scoring a goal. Then all of a sudden, okay, boys, we're in this one. And you can kind of feel after they got that second goal and Kane kind of got rolling, I felt like this game was going to be at worst an overtime loss, Brownie.
Well, I think for all the players on the team that are struggling to score goals, they should watch the second goal of the game, the Evander Kane's first goal. He's below the goal line. He passes the puck to Bouchard. And what we see a lot of the times is the Oilers players stay on the perimeter. They'll wait down there maybe for a reef to pass back, or they'll wait in case Bouchard throws it in the corner. But Evander Kane passed it to Bouchard and went straight to the front of the net. Straight to the front of the net. Bouchard takes 2 steps and fires it at his stick. It's a great example of going to the blue paint, going where you're going to score goals. That's what he and Hyman do on a consistent basis. And you see a number of the Oilers players who have struggled to score this year aren't hanging out in that area, and they have to. So Evander Kane set the tone, both physically, emotionally, and then obviously offensively, with a fantastic finish to this game. But the Oilers have to do more of what Evander Kane does if they want to be successful through 60 minutes, not just through the last 10.
Final statistic on the puck battles, according to Sportlogic, 67% for the Seattle Kraken, 33% for the Edmonton Oilers. So on the wrong side of that, but boy, a nice comeback. And I really wonder how much a comeback like this, Struds, can help this team and be a remedy right now. Because yes, there'll be some frustration about the way they played, but just getting a win is different, I would imagine, than coming back as a group like that, grinding one out, feeling the pressure of, oh crap, here we go again, and then rising from the ashes. I feel like there's something more you can pull out of a win like that than just a 3-1 solid game tonight.
Well, you can go back and reference it, right? And say, hey guys, we've been in this situation before and we've come back, because they can score goals. There's no doubt about that. And there are some areas you mentioned they have to clear up or clean up. But they can go back and say, hey, you know what? We've done this before. We know what we can do. And then when they start feeling that emotion, and then when they bring that emotion, they know what it feels like and what it looks like when they're playing at their best. Because it's difficult to play on your toes when there's not a lot of motion in the game, right? You're just kind of standing there and just kind of going through the motion. So I think it's something they can go back and use again as they get ready for a pretty difficult road trip. I wouldn't say it's the hardest road trip as far as opponents, but it's a pretty tricky one through some pretty tough buildings, Brownie.
Well, I also think that it's going to be easier this week for the coaches to have receptive players. They're on a 3-game winning streak. It was a big comeback win. There's a lot of things they need to clean up. It's much easier talking to players, showing them video, talking to them in practice when everybody's in a good mood. And they're all going to be in a good mood for a couple of days here, feeling good about themselves. They're trying to climb back into the playoff race. So as much as there was a lot of things that didn't go right for them in this game and a lot of things that they want to fix, it's going to be much easier correcting and talking about it, simply because the feeling right now in the dressing room is much different had they not come back in this hockey game.
Okay, 2 things I want to get to here. I want to get to Stuart Skinner and overall play early in the game, Struds, but also that glove save that he made. And, that was a real moment. And I thought to myself, I wonder if we're going to be talking about that save. And then I thought, nah, probably not. Honestly, that's what I thought. This time last year, I would have been like, oh, pay attention to that save. This year, it's like, they're not coming back, so that save's not going to matter. So Stuart Skinner's play, but then also there was that play Darnell Nurse made with the net empty, that extra effort play. Those 2 things right there, just some jam from a couple of guys in key moments, Struddy.
Yeah, and I think that I'm glad you brought the Nurse one up, because to me, that is the play, right? That is the play. There's
Huge.
moments left in the game, and then not taking anything away from Stuart Skinner and that save he made, but just that moment, it was a desperate move. I think it was James Schwartz. I think he was probably going to nail it in there.
Yeah.
So that was a huge moment just to block that, and that again gives your group some juice, some emotion. I think Stuart played a good game tonight. I think he got lucky a little bit. When you think about the kind of turnaround, not wrap around, but turnaround quick play that Tanev did, shot it right through the crease to the other side. I think it was Tanev again, maybe a backdoor play. I think there was an open net that he missed. Like there was some relatively easy goals that could have gone in the first period. They could have changed it, but he got, I don't know if lucky, but he didn't go in. But he was, given 3 and you win the game 4-3. All right. He's trying to find traction. Now he's got a few wins in a row here. Brownie, I think he's starting to feel comfortable and feel maybe more like himself from last year than we saw earlier in the year.
Well, he's got the 3 wins in a row, but I thought he was very good in the San Jose game that they lost too. So I think that's 4 quality starts in a row for Skinner. So that bodes well going forward because he's going to get the bulk of the games now. So he's playing well. That was a big save. I thought that was game over. And there was actually a flyby screen in front of him as well. So big save. And we talked about the Nurse play on our show too. That's desperation and urgency. And that's one thing that the Oilers have missed a lot this year. They didn't play with urgency. We saw that in the second period. Didn't play with desperation. But those are the things that change the complexion of a game. And Nurse diving, putting his body on the line, just gets enough of it to keep it out of the net. They don't get 2 points tonight if Nurse doesn't do that. So the urgency in the game for a lot of the players tonight and the play of Stuart Skinner were reasons that Evander Kane could play the hero in this game.
Let's talk a little bit about what we're seeing from the head coach. And the first place to start with this tonight, and we'll get to the line shuffling and that sort of thing, but I think overtime. I think we all, when overtime started, we were like, oh, that's interesting. Now, the thing I loved about Kris Knoblauch is after the game, we asked him about it. Like, you started with 2 defensemen on there. What was the thought process? And he just told us. He just flat out didn't play any games. He just told us the answer. If we'd have won the draw, McDavid would have come on the ice. If you lose the draw, you're probably defending for a minute. So we don't want both our best players out there for that minute of defending. Makes a ton of sense. As it turns out, they did have to do a bunch of defending. And you run the risk, Struds, of McDavid not seeing the ice in overtime if you get scored on, and then you look goofy for him not having had a second of ice time. What do you think of that strategy? A brand new one that we haven't really seen.
I really like it. It's a fresh idea. You don't bring a coach in and do the exact same thing. Last year, if I remember correctly, I don't think their overtime record is too great. It was pretty much always those 2 guys and Nurse, right? Leon, Connor, and Nurse. And the other team, what they started doing, or teams, was that they would put 3 good defenders out there. Like, let's say you're playing Islanders, it'd be Pajot and their 2 best defensemen. And they just wanted to kill the clock for 90 seconds. Till those guys go off, then the Oilers would put whomever out, and out would come the big guns for the opposing team. And that's kind of when things would go sideways. So I like this different approach. I like the way they're thinking, or way that Kris is thinking of doing something different. You don't have to do the same thing the previous coach did. It worked out really well. It sounded like in the post game that he wasn't intentional that he'd have Hyman and Kane together, but it worked out with Bouchard. Those 3 guys, that was one of the hardest 3 versus 3 shifts I've seen, during that time. So Brownie, it's different. I like that he's trying to do things that are different rather than just following the same, I guess, way they've been doing it before.
Well, yeah, it's funny. You could see off the face-off before they dropped the puck, Ekholm was looking at the bench. So you could tell if Leon won the face-off that Ekholm was taking off and changing. And it's smart that way. But it was funny listening to Knoblauch explain it. He said, if we have to defend for a minute, and by the time we get the puck back, Connor and Leon are going to be tired and they're going to dump it in. And I'm like, well, you haven't watched Connor and Leon in overtime. If they were out for a minute and finally got the puck, they weren't going to change. They would have stayed out for another minute or a minute and a half. So I like the thought process. Wouldn't probably have come to the way that he explained it, but it's smart. We've seen lots of teams that have played the Oilers in the past that'll have one guy come out for a face-off, and if he wins it, he changes and they put a different player out. winning the draw is so important in 3-on-3. And when they lost the faceoff, when Leon lost it tonight to the Kraken, they did chase, and they chased a lot. And Seattle did have 2 good chances in overtime.
They did.
Skinner
it could have been over.
It could have been. Skinner made a big save, but going to your point, Struds, on the Kane, Hyman, and Bouchard, Reed said it on her show tonight. That's not a normal 3-on-3 shift. Like, there was physical play in the corner. Like, normally there's flybys. If the puck's not there, you fly by and just, it's always constant movement. But good on Kane and Bouchard and Hyman to hunt the puck down and keep it in when there was a 50-50. That's when they won their battles. Hyman and Kane and Bouchard won battles on that shift, and eventually they just had a fatigued Kraken group out there that they just took advantage of.
Also did a little bit of line shuffling. Now, the first thing he did in the first practice was to separate McDavid and Draisaitl. Last game, when they went through their lulls, he didn't rush to put them back together. He really didn't. He kind of let it ride, and it ended up paying off. In tonight's game, he went back to McDavid and Draisaitl together, but there's some nuance here. It was coming out of a power play where they didn't score, and the second unit finished that power play. So players from both the first and second line are on that power play. So we kind of had to throw a line together to come back with McDavid and Draisaitl out of the second power play unit. So we chucked McDavid, Hyman, and Draisaitl together, and they scored. So then, rather than reset his lines back to the way they started, he was like, we'll give it another look. And they had a really good shift. And then he stayed with it for a period through the game, Struds. And then he shifted it back later on when they weren't getting the results that they wanted. So some purposeful line adjustments, but more than anything, he threw it out there as a Frankenstein line coming out of a power play, and it worked, and he stuck with it, which is different.
Well, I think what it is you kind of feel it, right? Feeling the game. You're like, oh man, maybe there's something here. And you're always looking for a spark or chemistry amongst 3 guys on any given night. Now, these 3 guys have had it before, but he talked about when he got the job that, it might be in situations that you outlined, coming out of a power play or a penalty kill, end of a period, whatever, or a long line change for the other team, whatever it is, there's different reasons. But when you put 3 guys together and they score, Brownie, I'm inclined to leave them together because they might have something. They could go off, like those 3 guys could go off for a 5-point night. So I like that. Again, you're coaching with a feel rather than just following the plan that is out there.
Well, one of the big things too, if the Kraken killed off a power play, so now that's 2 minutes that they killed off. There's that big relief on their bench. We just killed off the best power play in the league. We're feeling good about ourselves. That's a great time for you to put out Connor Leon on the next shift, because the Kraken right now, there's a relaxation. They're like, we just survived the power play, and oh my goodness, now we're going against Connor and Leon again. So they took advantage of a relaxed Seattle group. And I love Struddy. I love Adam Larson. I think he is a player that every team in the league would love to have.
Not on that one goal.
That was a bonehead play. He turned a 3-on-3 into a wide open breakaway for the best player in the world. That one is all on Larson. That one, who I thought played a great game, but that was all on Larson. But I do believe the coaching staff said, "Hey, we just had 2 minutes in their end. They're feeling relief. Let's get our best players out there and keep on pushing."
Keeping an eye on the live stream here. Yeah, that was a massive mistake by Adam Larson. And other teams make those too, Oiler fans, right? That feels like a mistake the Oilers have made game after game after game. That was a game changer, and that one was a big one. And Adam Larson, a pretty good D-man, made it. Keeping an eye on the stream here, we're going to get to some comments on the Weiss Johnson YouTube stream. Brought to you by Weiss Johnson Heating and Air Conditioning. 45 years they've been in the business. Should you need a new furnace, garage heater, air conditioner, hot water tank, or any of those things serviced, go to Weiss Johnson. They are the place to go. They're Edmonton's #1 choice for heating, air conditioning, and plumbing services. Give them a call, 780-463-3096. I was actually chatting with Dennis today, a little bit via text message. Had some good thoughts about what's going on with the Oilers. Weiss Johnson, your place to go. 780-463 3096. You may play the jingle now, Chris. Let's never let that happen again. The Weiss Johnson jingle is sacred. 780 463 3096. You gotta let it go a little longer because we botched it. That was on me. Hey, Brownie. That was on me. My cadence was off.
No.
I did the phone number twice.
I thought you sounded great. I don't know. I think it was just a technical glitch.
That's Chris.
Kiss ass.
That's all, Chris. Okay, I want to go to the stream here because it was relevant to what we were talking about at the time, but I might have lost the one that I wanted to go to here. Basically, the point was made that, there it is, from Stephen Petruk. I like Sam, but I think he's too slow to play with 97 long term. They're short of top 6 forward. We know they are. Connor Brown is likely to play in their next game. But Brownie, what do you make of 97 there, or of Sam Gagner there? He's kind of doing what he can, but bit of a stretch.
Oh, it's a huge stretch. He doesn't have the foot speed to keep up. He was actually playing very well when he was playing with Kane, because they got pucks in deep. He makes smart plays off the board. He makes smart plays from down low. At the end of the first period tonight, he set Kane up. I think it was at the end of the first where he set Kane up right in front. A wonderful play. So that's where Gagner does his best. He doesn't have the foot speed anymore to be able to. I mean, nobody can keep up with McDavid, but certainly Sam Gagner, he's miscast in that spot. He'll be much better suited back in the bottom 6 when Connor Brown comes back, Struds, and I would imagine that'll happen this weekend, and then they'll start being able to slot their players a little bit better where they belong.
Yeah, he's a ground and pounder now, right? Like, he wants to get just below the top of the circles and just keep his feet moving, use his hockey IQ, where speed isn't quite as important. It's quickness of thinking, quickness of plays. He's not into the track meets anymore. So but I think everyone knows that he's in there doing what he can and trying to support it. But yeah, this is not a real state secret here that the guy talks about.
All right, still to come on the podcast. In our takeaways segment, Struds and I are going to dig a little bit into the penalty kill and also the physicality or lack thereof on this team right now. That's coming up. Then we will have Struddy's World. And, of course, Ask Us Anything. So keep your comments coming in on the YouTube stream here. And Zuby will be gathering them behind the scenes. Brownie, we're going to let you go, my man. I just wanted you to know you were a professor of the game tonight. You were incredibly impressive. You brought the IQ of this podcast up at least 2-3 dozen points.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm going to go in and write some plays out for my family to see, and they'll wake up in the morning and I'll teach them a little bit more about the game tonight.
Wow.
At best, you're a student teacher. At best.
A substitute teacher. I'll give him substitute teacher. That is the great Rob Brown. Guys. All right, see you, pal. And by the way, Brownie's appearances on the pod. There, he hung up on us. Brownie's appearances on the podcast are brought to you by Kinprint, helping you find creative ways to promote your brand. I love their brand. How cool is that bear up in that logo that they've got? I like the purple feet on. I don't know, the 2 legs that are purple. It's kind of something about it. It catches the eye. They can actually help you with your logo design. So if you're a new company and you're in design right now, trying to figure things out, give them a call or check them out at kinprint.ca. They can help you design and develop that brand. And then once you've got it, they can throw it on all kinds of apparel and hats, and they take great care of you. That is kinprint.ca. Short break. When we come back, we'll dig into the PK and the physicality on the Oilers coming up. Stay with us.
Hey everyone, it's Kelly here from United Sport and Cycle. The wait is over. United's annual Hockey Day sale is finally here. Save 20% off on select CCM and Bauer skates. Save 35% off on all Bauer and CCM Pro Stock sticks. And save up to 25% off on select Bauer and CCM equipment. And for you goalies, save up to 20% off select Bauer, Warrior, and CCM goal gear. Trust the experts at your home of hockey for over 95 years. United Sport and Cycle.
Winter is upon us, so why not make the best of it? Marmot Basin Ski Resort is where it's at. Ski half price every day, no blackout periods. Pick up your escape card for $99 and make winter fun more affordable. Half the price, all the powder. Get yours at www.skimarmot.com.
If you own or operate a business, you know the value of a great employee. Just ask Schauger. Pathfind is here to help you find your next star player to help take your business to the next level. Pathfind can help with recruitment, career transition, leadership coaching. They truly have your whole team covered. Building you a championship caliber roster. Find your team's path forward at pathfind.ca.
We're going to let that slide. We're not going to mention that.
Rusty.
Zuby is rusty coming off holidays. Wow. Chris,
Jeez,
you
how long
okay,
has he
buds?
gone?
How you doing back there, buds?
I'm doing well. What was it? Just that frame?
I don't know. That you started playing the United Cycle ad again.
Yeah, I have to set the doing something different, linking the commercials all together tonight. But I was
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I just pushed the glasses up, and people think we're so mean to you. Nothing but love for you, buddy. Welcome back from vacation. Time now for takeaways. Brought to you by Redefined Health. They specialize in total body and mind wellness. From chiropractic and massage care treatments to acupuncture, soft tissue therapy, nutrition, even an on-site registered psychologist, Redefined Health is there to help you get well and stay healthy for a lifetime. Go see Dr. Tyler Fix, if for no other reason than his name. See if he can do it. Can he fix you? RedefinedHealth.com. Okay, Struds, we were texting back and forth about some things we wanted to make sure we got to tonight, and you mentioned the penalty kill 2 or 3 times. I sense you're passionate about what you're seeing on the penalty kill because this was a question for you. An area you know they need to be better. What are you seeing?
Yeah, it's huge. I just think it's so huge. You the special teams are so important in today's game. And what I saw today, well, first off, the Oilers killed off 5 penalties, which was really important. There's some really crucial ones too at crucial times. I want to say the end of the second, the beginning of the first or third, that was a huge one. But a couple things. Number one, I think we're seeing a little bit tighter play from the forwards. That means they're not extending out so far out to the D-men, and that's not creating such a long ways to skate back, and then he kind of zipping passes through that. So I think they're keeping a little bit tighter. The second thing, and we were kind of going back and forth on, you brought it up, is the block shots. They seem like they were in more shooting lanes, and that helps so much. I can't tell you as a D-man, when you're in front of the net and you know that the other team is just teeing off and pucks and bombs are coming right at you, and now you got to figure out either the puck goes in or there's a rebound lane around there and a ricochet, and you're trying to figure out where that puck is. There's people all over the place. The forwards are trying to get back. So those two things together, they've seen to really calm things down. So I really like that. And, I think maybe Stewart, Coffey, I'm not sure which combination of the two are doing it, but it looks like there's been some changes since, Dave Manson was no longer on the team.
Yeah. When you have a goaltender who one of the first things he mentions is, I thought the penalty kill did a really good job. Yeah. You know that he's feeling the pressure in those moments on the kill. And I can only imagine what it feels like as a goalie to see one of your players step in front of one that you would have had to deal with, right? And Stuart Skinner mentioned that right away. Struds, the willingness to block shots is massive, and winning teams need it when it matters the most. Let me ask you this, though, buddy. Of all the things to do in hockey, maybe outside of dropping the gloves and fighting, that has to take the most courage in all of hockey to be willing to do that.
Yeah, it does to a point. So let's just look at 2 different examples. So example 1, Bouchard takes a point shot from in the offensive zone, and Leon's kind of turned sideways and tries to jump out of the way. It hits him in the knee. So he's kind of trying to avoid that. And I get it. He doesn't want to get hit by the shot. He's trying to let it get to the net. But that's example number 1. Example number 2, you get in the shooting lane early. You're in the right place. You're square to the shooter, and it hits you in the shin pads or the pants. Not going to hurt you. So yeah. I always found when you were blocking a shot to get into your position early and to be facing the guy. I don't like it when people lay down. I don't like it when they drop to their knee like Chris Russell used to do. Stand up and take away one side of the net or the other. It's a little bit harder for the forwards, but for the D, let's say you're dealing with a guy to the flank. You take away the far side of the net, and then the goalie knows he only has to stop really half the
Right.
or just look after half his net. And now it's a lot harder for the guy to get the shot through, and the goalie's going to make the save. So, getting there early and with intention, not kind of drifting out. And not to pick on this guy, but Zach Casting was the master.
I knew you were bringing this up.
Like he was getting to it, and then just kind of take a road to that block shot that looked like he was working hard, but wasn't quite there.
Knew how to make it look good, right? Didn't that happen in that Chicago play-in series? Wasn't there a critical goal where he took a circuitous route to get out of a shot block?
So what you want to do, if you're going out to a D-man, instead of skating out to the D-man and getting into the shooting lane, you first get in the shooting lane. So it might be a step to your right, and then skate at the player. Now that guy's got to shoot through you, and that makes a big difference.
Two things. One, pound the love heart thing. Apparently that helps our algorithm, and we got to remind you each time. Sure. I'm told by our social media people. So, do you have that soundbite, Zuby? Steve had that at his fingertips. That classic soundbite from me.
You know what? He sent it to me, but I haven't put it into the board yet.
Okay. All right. Just making a note here. Just okay. That's 3.
Do my impression of you doing it.
Yeah, do it. Actually, you can do an impression of me. Go for it.
My voice is a little hoarse. Pound that love button, folks. No,
that's creepy.
It would be more. It would be more sing-song.
That was gross. That was gross. Yeah. I think what I said was pound that love button, I think is what I said. And I can see people are doing it, so thank you. Another thing came up before we get to our next point is, did Struds have a chance to talk about his Twitter post about Gregor yet? That comes from Nate Hay 77. I missed it, Struddy. What did you do? What did you Twitter?
So I love that Gregor's growing his hair out.
I bet you do.
No reason that he's the one who brought it on himself. So after every win, I've been putting up. Well, I guess just the last 2, but I'll say like this recent one was, the Oilers are 3-0 since Jason Gregor started. I think it's tonsil or tongle or whatever, where you get the cut on the side, or the top and on side era. And then I put a picture of Boss Hogg from Dukes of Hazzard.
Oh yeah.
The worst. And then hashtag, not party on the top, hashtag party on the sides. Like, I just love it because I know it just bothers them. And it's so funny. Like, I can't wait to see this hair and what it looks like.
It's really going to be a journey for all of us. It really is.
So much fun.
And I mean,
it bothers them.
I know. He was so mad at himself. But God love him. He's a man of his word, that Jason Gregor over at Sports 1440. The other point I wanted to bring up was physicality. I'm going to try really hard not to go on a rant here. Okay? Like, not to overdo it. But this is the thing. There are too many players on this team who feel like it's okay if they don't contribute to any physicality on a given night. That it's not their job and it's not part of what they even need to think about shift to shift. And I'm telling you, when you get to the playoffs, when you want to get to the promised land, you have to be a team that instinctually knows you just have to finish your checks. You just have to. And the Oilers are heading down a dangerous path, I see, where there is not enough physicality and there are not enough players who seem to give a crap about trying to play physical. Now, the guy that is holding the flag and going, charge on this front of not being physical is Ryan McLeod. I've been talking about him since he arrived, and it has gotten no better. I counted 1 shift. He swung away from 3 finished checks in the offensive zone in about 20 seconds. It's mind-numbing that this player thinks he can be a third-line center on a good team and never have to finish checks. This is where I've said it. I'm just going to stop there. He's not the only one. The expectation needs to come from somewhere. Where should it come from? Is it the players? Is it Evander Kane hollering at guys? Like, where should this come from, Struds? Because if this team doesn't find it, they naturally don't have a bunch of guys that think this way, and it's a problem.
Yeah, so what I'm going to say is you don't need to run out of your way to get hits, but there are some really easy areas to get hits, and I'm going to target the defenseman, like to hit defensemen. So when the puck is dumped in, they're the D-men skating towards that puck. They're not really sure where you are, And then as soon as they make that play, you can rub them out or hit them into the wall and not lose your speed and still get back up the ice and beat them up the ice. That's a really easy place to dump it in or to hit. Another place is in when the players are skating up the ice, you angle the guy off, and as he passes or chips it in or whatever, bang, that's another easy hit. So those are the two areas that are really easy to hit. Now there's other areas, mid-ice collision or mid-ice collisions, harder, a little bit more skilled and kind of high risk as far as what it can happen to your team if you miss it. But for a forward, those are the two easiest areas to get those hits. And I think it's important to do because it wears down specifically the D men, get some thinking. And then it kind of those forwards might take a second thought about if they're dumping it in or they're going to drive it wide because they know you're going to finish them off. For the D, it's a little bit different, I think. But those are easy ways to get. And as a forward, if you're playing 10 to 15 minutes a night, it's easy to pick up 2 or 3 hits in those areas. Again, not blowing guys up, not putting guys into the third row, but finishing and riding guys out. It stops their momentum and it does wear them down. So I think it's about the team and the team being better off because you're doing that. And, I think someone needs to maybe talk to some guys, Kane or Hyman. Some others might sit down, and say, guys, this is how our team gets better. This is how we make it harder for them. Think about when you're playing Vancouver to just ride Quinn Hughes off. Now, it's not easy because he's hard to hit. But if you can catch him 2 or 3 times a game, just to rub him out and slow him down, makes that 25 minutes a lot harder to play.
100%. And it's not just him. Like, there's a number of guys that don't do it enough. And, it's hard when it's not in your nature. So it needs to be an expectation that someone else puts in front of you. And there needs to be consequences when you refuse to do it. So I'm going to be really interested how this head coach handles it. I did ask Knoblauch after the game about, physicality and how important it is to him. I don't think we grabbed that clip. Did we? We grabbed the Evander Kane one, Struds, on the physicality?
No, what are we talking with Kane?
Yeah, Kane.
Zuby, that's what we have, right?
Yes.
I asked Evander Kane about, if this group is physical enough, because they're getting a lot of good things happening within 5-7 feet of the net, and there just aren't enough guys going there. Go ahead. Here's Evander Kane from the Weiss Johnson Soundbox.
Yeah, I think it can obviously improve greatly. I think we all know that in this room. I think that's only going to lead to more scoring opportunities for us when you get all 20 guys playing that way. I think some of the goals we gave up, we could have been a little harder, a little firmer. But as I said, I think we did a good job of not being deterred and not having a letdown going in the third period after that second and pushing to get a victory.
So he's still a developing player. Won 50% of his draws tonight. Check. You can tell that he's working on that. I see him working on it in practice. This is a part of his game. And I think the reason why I'm so on him is because he occupies a place in the lineup where he can be so important for this group. He has the speed to do it. He's not a great hitter, but he can do it. He's too important a player on this team to be allowed to think it's okay to play this way. He is too important to this group for this to be just what he is now. Too important.
Yeah. It's, I don't think it's in his nature. I don't think he's a physical player at all. But his speed makes it so easy to get hits. My God. If
he does it in the playoffs, man.
Yeah. Well, I don't think,
he shows more intention to finish checks and play physical in the playoffs. He does. I know because I pay attention to it and I notice it in the playoffs.
I think we got to be careful when you're talking about the playoffs. He does have more, but it's not like it's a huge difference, right? There might be more, but I don't think it's like a massive difference. But with his speed, he should be able to get such easy hits. And that's what the craziest part of this is. For a slower player, it's harder to get there, right? When you're that fast, just ride the guy off, boom, into the wall, and you just keep moving. Again, you don't move it. You really don't lose a lot of speed if you do it correctly. So he's hurting himself, but he's hurting the team, right? By not doing it. But there's other guys too. Like I think Fogel's the same guy. I like to see him. He does ride off quite a few, but I like to see him get in there and finish it off.
It should be a night for Fogel because he has the speed. He's way better at doing it. It's part of his game. Like every night should be Fogel. There's some nights he brings it, and then there's some nights where it just goes poof and disappears. Yeah. That's the one thing you can control. Finish your checks.
But there are some nights where the hits just don't come. Like I know that it is hard, but most times you can get it. Holloway's another guy that can be able to do it. Derek Ryan, maybe a little bit lighter, maybe not the guy. But Lavoie's another guy can get it going. Hamblin, but then we're talking about kind of smaller role players here. But I think there's an opportunity for these guys that I mentioned to really kind of bring it. And now you kind of have one guy in each line. It's a little bit heavy and a little bit mucky for the other team. And you start to get that idea of being hard to play against.
They missed Costin on this front, right? I mean, Bukestad didn't throw a ton of hits, but was a bigger body.
Yeah.
Their bottom six is not built for this to be a specialty. And I don't think it's okay to just accept that and say, well, that's who we are. You can't ask an apple to be an orange. I think it needs to be an expectation that this group figures out how to put on itself. And I think it should be a priority for the coaching staff to get out of more guys. And we'll see. We'll see. I've been beating this drum, though, for a couple of seasons, and maybe it'll just never be part of what he thinks about game to game to game. But Ryan McLeod is too important a player to think that he can just play game after game without, swinging and dinging and blowing snow at people. It just happens far too often. Anyways, that was Takeaways. And Takeaways tonight brought to you by Redefined Health. When we come back, we're going to dig into a little maneuver that Kris Knoblauch made. He and Paul Coffey had a little discussion and a little shift in the locker room. Struddy's going to tell you all about it and tell you what he thinks about it coming up after a short break in Struddy's World. The Edmonton Sport and Social Club is YEG's top destination for adult recreational sports, offering over 20 different options, including ball hockey, indoor volleyball, pickleball, and now ice hockey for all you fans out there looking to lace them up for the first time or get back into the game after a few years off, like Struddy. Sign up by December 13th for the winter season beginning mid-January at edmontonsportsclub.com.
If you're looking for a night out on the town and want to make sure you and your fellow fun lovers arrive safe and in style, call Ahmed Enterprises. With their stretch limos and party buses, they can accommodate groups up to 22. Servicing Edmonton and area, Ahmed Enterprises provides luxurious, reliable, professional transportation. Whether it be weddings, parties, casino nights, game night at the arena, or any occasion, give them a call at 780-231-6018 or check them out online at ahmedenterprise.com. Benching Got Your Back sent you to get 10% off your luxury ride.
Long Shots Golf is the destination for both golf enthusiasts and sports fans. Top-of-the-line TrackMan simulators provide a highly entertaining and accurate golf experience, while a full-service sports bar loaded with big screens and scratch kitchen make it a truly unique destination. They have locations in Sherwood Park in Edmonton. Experience the best indoor golf and sports bar in town. Visit longshots.ca. That's longshots with a Z.ca.
Are you ready to elevate your moving experience? Trusted for over 100 years, Ferguson Moving and Storage are your partners in relocation, ensuring your journey is smooth and stress-free. And say goodbye to surprises with Ferguson's transparent flat rate pricing. Contact them now for a free moving quote and use a promo code Ferguson to receive $100 off your next move. Visit fergusonmoving.com and let them lift your expectations. When you make a mistake, heads should roll. It's not right. And I'm here, someone has to put their foot down. Now that I say it out loud, it does sound a little crazy.
Gotta look good.
Big tip of the hat to Zuby, because I don't know if anybody saw it or not. He snuck a little something into the commercial there. Did you see into the was it the Pathfind commercial? Which commercial was it? Did you see that, Struds? He snuck this picture.
Yeah, I love that picture.
Nice work, Zuby. You have totally redeemed yourself tonight, buddy.
That's
How was your skate?
Edmonton Sport and Social Club.
The Edmonton Sport and Social Club. How was that experience for you, Struds?
I was unreal. Yeah, I think we should do a full week's podcast just talking about my every routine I did.
Look at that.
I think I did 5 or 6, maybe 7. I don't know. It's quite a few.
Who's your partner again?
Violetta Affiniciava.
Yeah.
It was great. Great experience, man. I loved it. I'd never do it again, but I loved it.
That's awesome. What place did you come in?
Second. Yeah, we got voted second. So
who won?
Tough. Yeah, we either go to the final 3, then it's a vote.
Who won though? I'm trying to remember that.
Scott Thornton. He was.
Oh,
really
okay. Scott Thornton
won
won that.
He was throwing his partner around. He was really good too.
Nice. All right, time now for Struddy's World, brought to you by DLR Vinyl Decks and Fences, with locations in Calgary and Edmonton. They provide beautiful maintenance-free vinyl fencing and decking materials. And the trick there is the maintenance-free part, right? That is the gold part of going with DLR. You put it in, you don't have to sand, you don't have to stain, you don't have to paint. No elbow work. Once it's in, it stays looking fantastic year after year after year. Decades, it'll look like it's new. Definitely worth it. Check it out, dlrvinylproducts.ca. They got locations in Calgary and in Edmonton. Struddy?
So today it came out that the Edmonton Oilers coaching staff had rearranged or organized to rearrange the dressing room. You know, the guys have been kind of spread out. So what they did is they put the defensemen together in one area, then the kind of the forwards and the goalie in another. You know, it's still one dressing room, but they just kind of organize them as a group. And I played on teams where this has happened before, where guys are together, and then others where you're spread out. I got to say, I like it when the like players are near each other, right? There's kind of that commonality, that bond of what you're doing out there. You know, there is some talking. You know, I think that we have to be careful when we talk, or we think about how much players talk about each other or talk with each other about what's going on out there. It does happen, that's for sure. But you're not going over, you know, you're not sitting in your stall all morning just talking about, hey, man, remember we did this? Let's do that again. Let's make this happen. But there can come up some organic conversation during, let's say, a game, before or even after a game, about what you want to do in the power play or the penalty kill, or maybe something that's working on the breakouts. But it's not like you're just sitting talking shop all day long. Most of the time, you're kind of complaining about who's playing the music and what's happening. So let's talk about why they did this. So the new coach comes in and he's trying to make it feel like a new start. So, you know, he talked about he and Paul Coffey making this happen. And to me, when you rearrange it, it's like a new start to the year, because some of these guys had their spots for quite a while. And I know when you have your spot, it's kind of your spot. You're kind of used to walking there. You stretch in a certain area, you walk away, you set your stick a certain way. Well, this is a new start. Things have been moved around a bit. And I like it, because now it's like he's quietly, and for a good reason, put his stamp on the dressing room. It wasn't like it was before. So it's a slight change, and for the players, it makes it feel different. And I really like that. The second part is when the coach comes in to talk to you, instead of having to look around and try to figure out where all the D-men are, you're like, hey guys, D-men, this is what we want to do. Let's make this happen. Or vice versa with the forwards. So there's a lot of benefits that can come out of this. I don't think you got to be careful not to overstate what the impact would be. I think that's getting a little bit carried away, but I like that he put his stamp on the dressing room and also made it easier to communicate with his players, whether it's forwards or D, as they move it forward.
Yeah, some great points there, Struds. I'll tell you what I liked about it. I asked him a question about it today, and I don't think we have that sound. Zuby, did I ask you to pull that sound? I don't think I did I?
No.
Okay, no problem. That's
Sorry.
my bad. No, that's okay. That's my bad. Basically, the way he answered it is he said, because what I said to him was, it was kind of tongue in cheek, but I said, you're messing with players' superstitions a little here. Like they've been in these spots for a while. Was there any pushback? I kind of said jokingly, and he goes, I think there's probably some guys that aren't happy with the way, their games have gone. And, maybe it's time for some change. It was kind of his response. And I like it, Struds, because he's an understated guy, right? He's not banging fists and stuff like that. But when you're a guy that sat in the same stall for like 6 years and it's like, what?
Yeah.
It's not nothing. It's not. It's his way of that's a pretty notable thing for guys that, wow, this is completely different now. And he clarified that was the way it was with all of his junior teams and in the American League. That's the way he liked it. He said Paul Coffey actually is the one that brought it up. I wonder if it was like that back in the heyday of the Oilers, if that was like that for Coffey and the Oilers back in the day. Yeah. But this is not nothing.
Yeah. But it's not nothing, but he's putting his stamp on this team. Just subtly, right? Now I like that he talked about how him and Coffey kind of came up with the idea, or Coffey brought it to him. Like, I like that, because those two are now working together and they got to find some, find a working relationship, right? Not that they don't have one, or sorry, they have a bad one. They just don't have one, right? They've never worked together, but it's a way of very subtly, and it seems like that's his style, just imposing his will on the group. This is what we're going to do. I'll share a quick story. When I played for the Canucks, we had a really nice dressing room. And then there was like about 3 stalls that were outside, like kind of outside of the main square that led to a storage room. And those were like for extra goalie gear and stuff. But Mike Keenan started playing games with us. So depending on how you'd play, your stall would be moved the next morning. So there'd be guys whose stall was moved daily and you'd never be in the same spot. Yeah. And so let's be clear though, Mark Messier, he was on the team. He never moved. But Alexander McGillney, Mike didn't feel he was playing well enough. So he put his stall on the way to the storage room. And he was staring it was a very small hallway, like maybe 5 feet across. So he was just sitting there staring at the wall. So he was and the guys were just giving it to him and he loved it. Like Almo, that's what we called him, was an amazing guy. And he's like, hey guys, I'm over here. If anyone needs me, just staring at the wall. And then he had a better game. And so then they moved him back in because there was literally an empty stall inside the main square, but he was in the hallway. Like it was so funny. And he would move guys all, for stretches of time to kind of make his point, to let you know where you were in his good or bad books. And for a period of time, I had an unbelievable stall. Like I'm talking, it was aces. It's right in the middle of the row. You can kind of right in the middle. You can see what everybody's doing. I loved it. I loved being in the middle of the action. And then when I played bad, I went back to the edges. I never went to the hallway. I never played that badly. But
so you got moved around a little bit in there?
Yeah, not a ton, but mine was more a reward. Like, because like I feel that I really like the middle of the row. So if you can picture a square or, a round is a little bit harder than a round now, but it used to be squares, and being in the middle of a row was a real bonus because you were in the middle of the action, right? Everyone's wheeling and dealing. You didn't want to be on the end because there's no one to talk to if you're against the walls. It was just you. Now, some guys like that. I wanted to be in the middle. So I felt when I played well, I'd get in the middle. And then when I wasn't playing as well, I got back out to the outside.
And how long did that go on for? Like, was it just a period of time?
He wasn't all year. I was only with him. Like he coached me for maybe, I don't know, 50 games. Like it wasn't there very long. Right. And, but it was funny. Then he'd do the same thing. Like if you had a good practice, you'd walk, or a good game, you'd walk in and there'd be like full practice and workout. Some people underneath that. There'd be just a workout, some people underneath that. And then there'd be nothing. And you could be under that. And there was the odd time where old Uncle Struddy was in the nothing group. So I could do whatever I wanted. But then he'd look over and the other guys would be, and I was a rookie, so I did everything. I'd go and do it all the time. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was crazy, man. Like he was always trying to rally. But if you were playing well, if we were winning, it was just that you just play 3-on-3 for the whole practice. But then, so as a young player, like I wasn't learning anything. So when Mark Crawford was brought in, my game kind of improved because now I was learning how to play. I get motivation. I believe in motivation, but I think that works for older, mature teams. I don't think that works we were young and inexperienced. We didn't know what the hell we were doing. I needed someone to tell me what to do.
Struddy or Zuby, pop on in here, buddy, because we're going to get to Ask Us Anything. That was Struddy's World, by the way, brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. Are you keeping a to-do list on the pod, Zuby? Do you have like a big master list of things that are on the to-do list?
Sort of, yeah. I have I have a notes section.
Notes?
Yes.
So I think we need to add some sort of whether it's an animation or an audio cue or something. When it's time for story time with Struddy, I think we need to just have something that plays, because I honestly, as soon as you said that, Struds, I actually was like, oh, like awesome. I love story time. I sat back in my chair. I leaned back like this. Yeah. And I was just kind of like, let's do it. Yeah, exactly. Like Zuby. So Zuby, that's on the to-do list. No rush.
To-do list.
I know you just got back and I don't want to overwhelm you, but let's get a story time with Struddy animation or something.
I love it. I love making this stuff and creating and having all different.
Perfect.
Hitting lots of buttons and having lots of different visual cues and stuff like that.
That's so awesome.
Sure we'll come up with something.
And as long as you're hitting the right ones, you're doing a good job.
Yeah, I've been
let's get to
70-30 tonight, I would say.
Yeah, so I know. It's the same as the Oilers' one lost battle level, 70-30. That's about what it was.
That's still a B.
That is a B, yeah, and that's good. All right, let's get to Ask Us Anything, brought to you by Match Eatery and Public House. Holiday gifting just got better at Match. Purchase a $50 gift card. You receive a bonus $10 card and 2 Match-branded beer sleeves. Love the beer sleeves. Gift cards are available in the restaurant and at matchpub.com. Match Pub, your Ice District dining destination. Zuby, how's the stream doing, buddy? I'm gonna let you and Struds kind of buck on this a little bit. Just hammer it hard, the two of you. Get through as many as you can, and I'm just gonna kind of sit back and enjoy. I'll chime in if I think it's needed.
Okay, that's cool because we have some good stuff that we didn't get to in the pod at all tonight. A couple of chirps, I like to sometimes start with a couple chirps. VA threw in there, and this just made me laugh. He said, "Our bottom six is buttery soft." And that, I had a good chuckle at that. The Bison Mask guy said, Oilers signed Connor Brown hoping they would get a Rob Brown, probably angling for gem of the night there, but Rob's gone, so he doesn't get a vote on it anymore. One of Struddy's kids, I think, has the handle for Oilers and said, I didn't realize how funny Struddy was until I started to listen to this pod. The guy carries the show. A little love for Struddy from a kid or an uncle.
Wow.
Some relative. Sure.
That might be a gem of the night.
Yeah.
You no longer are allowed to do gem of the night, Sir Strudwick.
I love it.
There was another good one earlier, Zuby. Somebody said Gene Principe throws more hits in a night than Ryan McLeod, which I thought was good. Love you, Gino. Love you, Gino.
And last one.
Ryan McLeod is a good player. He's an important player. I'm not trying to pile on to him. And by the way, funny enough, somebody sent me a note. The Oilers are actually second in the league in hits per 60. Which is kind of funny when you look at it that way. Yeah. I still maintain it, though. There are too many guys that aren't doing it. Anyways, this is where I'd be quiet again.
And final sort of chirp comment. Bitchaman said when you showed the picture of Struddy from the Battle of the Blades, he said, I thought that was the two of you. And then I thought, boy, that would be a great promotional thing. Maybe we could recreate that photo with Struds and Rishaug. That'll be something down the road.
Yeah. I'm not doing the white dress.
There's some good hockey stuff here. JL said, the team finally caught some breaks in the third. Ernie penalty could have been a 5-minute, and Vinny was within inches of scoring on his own on the empty net. Struds, what did you see of those events in the game?
Well put. I think I'm going to go back to the first period. Tana missing the net. I mean, that was really that was a pretty big miss. I think it was him again backdoor on a one-timer. I think he missed it or misfired. That was another one. Yeah, the Adam Ernie. I don't know how that wasn't a 5-minute. He absolutely hammered that guy right in the face with a flying, it was a flying elbow. So I wonder if that isn't looked at as potential, maybe a suspension or at least a fine. Like that was really dangerous. And then the Vinny Darnay, Vinny, he's got to stay kind of within his limitations, right? Like the back, I get it. He's trying to just keep the puck alive, and he did a good job because he was trying to run off time on the penalty that they were carrying. But you got to be so careful in that moment, and that's really not his game. Maybe a quick turn of the wall, chip it back to the other side rather than a backhander back to the middle, because that was inches, not feet, from going in the zone net.
It's funny, as I watched it in real time, I thought that wasn't really danger. I thought he was below the line. Then I saw the replay and he wasn't.
No. Yeah, that was danger, Will Rogers. That was danger.
Okay, Neil Garrity wants to talk about Evan Bouchard. This is his comment, and he says, Bouchard is not good for a fan's heart. I'm angry and yelling at him when he's in our zone and cheering for him in the offensive zone. He's a roller coaster out there.
It's a great comment.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. When he gets over the red line, he just takes over, right? That skill just takes over in his own end. He seems a little bit hesitant and at times not just aggressive enough. And we go back to a couple of goals. We read them already. But I hope that he keeps – you have to be patient with a guy like this because he's going to keep adding that part to him, right? And you look at the guy who's on the bench beside him. Paul Coffey might be, really well suited to work with him because Paul was very much inclined offensively. Now, he had partners that kind of backed him up, but maybe the wording from Paul Coffey might be different than Dave Manson. Not that Manson did a bad job, but just because they maybe connect a little bit more as two very offensive-minded defensemen.
Zuby, we have a request on the stream to turn your volume level up, I think, at some point too there. So I don't know if that's...
I could do that. I'm always trying to lean in. It's harder for me to watch my own level, but
that's okay, buddy. Yeah, you got a lot going on this segment. You're carrying this segment, you and Struddy. That's why I'm handling the technical end for you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Struds, do you think the influence of Paul Coffey seeing like CC Rush and I forget there was do you think that's really showing through already?
Oh, I think it is. I think it is. What it is for me is that I like it when the Oilers defensemen I don't think there's anyone like Quinn Hughes that should be carrying the puck over the blue line and then distributing the puck from there. I think maybe Bouchard, but I think everyone should be that second layer of the rush. So let's say it's a 2-on-1 or whatever, 3-on-3. You follow up really hard and you get up in that play, and now you're following it up, and it turns an even man rush to an odd man rush. You know, the one where CC got it in the breakaway, I still not sure how that all worked out. He did jump into play, but you can see they're activating the guy who's in front of the net to jump up hard in the play to help create more offense. And I really like that, because it just puts pressure on the other team, and you have to now realize and recognize what kind of rush you have going at you. So I think that's something they're trying to do for the Oilers D.
Okay, really interesting comment here from Spade. He says, just kind of looking at what's going on here in the last few days, with a roster like this, maybe X's and O's don't matter as much. Maybe we just need good in-game roster management.
Yeah, I don't think I'd agree with that. I think that you still have to have some structure to your game, and structure protects you when things aren't going well. So when you're rolling like the Oilers were the last 7 minutes, they're emotional, they're fired up, they're playing well, and they're scoring goals. That's a great thing. But the previous 43 or I guess it'd be more than that, 53 minutes, whatever it was, that structure kind of holds you until you're able to get to the go zone that you found in the game. So I think they'll keep implementing some things. I talked a little bit about what I saw differently on the penalty kill. At least that's what I saw. I'm not sure if they're intending to do that. But I think that they will keep adding just little changes. And it's not a huge change, but those little changes to just kind of weather the storm, Shogger.
Can I have a quick turn here, Zuby? You mind if I hop in?
You may.
I'd like to ask Mr. Strudwick something. And some of this is coming in on the stream a little bit here too. And we're not going to pile on to Jack Campbell here because it's not going well for him in the American Hockey League, and we just is what it is, right? He gets demoted down to that league, and it has been ugly, man. Just a pile of goals and some early ones. But given the fact that it doesn't look like Jack Campbell's going to be on his way back soon, Struddy, I think they probably need to prioritize getting Pickard into a game here. Like, they're going to have to he's not just here to fill space, and they're going to need him. And if you've just called him up and you make him wait 3 weeks before you give him a start, I think that's a mistake, man. I'm eyeballing that game, that afternoon game on the weekend. Is it Washington? But they're going to have to work this guy in at some point, because I don't think Campbell's coming back anytime soon.
Yeah, I actually, just on Jack Campbell, I worry about him, right? Because you're in a free fall. Your game is in an absolute free fall. I wonder if we're not going to see maybe a leave of absence just for him, just to kind of get his feet underneath him. Like it's just think of in the last 18 months what his life has gone from, right? You signed this great contract to the Oilers, come in here and you just can't get traction. It's not going well. You think you have a good summer, you feel good in training camp, and then you start the season, it's just not where it's at. Then you get sent down the minors. Now it's just not going well in the minors. Like, I think his head is just spinning, absolutely spinning. So if I was Oilers and he asked for a leave of absence just to go and clear his head and, I don't know, go on a vacation or something, I'd grant it, because I think he's reeling. So on the other side, though, they can't play. Skinner can't play every game moving forward. So you have to find a place to put him in, to put Pickard in, and also see what you got, right? What do we got here? But as right now when they're winning, I think I wouldn't expect him to play him in Tampa, even though Tampa doesn't have their number one goalie either. So maybe that wouldn't make more sense. But there's going to be opportunities here coming up. But I think with the heater they're on, I don't think you make the move now.
All right, Zuby, one or two more, and we can let her buck here for our gem of the night.
Yeah, Quaddy actually had mentioned, he said, I think Tampa's playing the worst out of the four teams. He was looking at that as the Pickard start, and that is the Saturday afternoon. So I don't know if that plays into it at all either, if it's a little more under the radar. Anywho.
Yeah, afternoon game. Yeah, I mean, I could see he's going to get into something, right? So I probably wouldn't do it against Carolina or Florida. So I guess maybe Tampa. And then what's the back end? Is it Washington? Yeah.
They got an afternoon game in Washington, I think, on the weekend, if I recall. I don't have the schedule in front of me. It's on the wall behind me.
Yeah.
All right. Good stuff. That was Ask Us Anything, brought to you by Match Eatery and Public House. As we wrap the pod tonight with our gem of the day, we remind you it's brought to you by Edmonton's iconic home for everything sport, United Sport and Cycle. It's definitely your home for hockey. Sticks and skates, masks and pads. They can get you outfitted and ready to dominate on the ice. Go check them out in store or online, www.unitedsport.ca. Struds, you got something in mind other than somebody saying that you rule the pod and you're so funny and you're he carries the pod, I think was what was said there.
That's the low-hanging fruit and accurate. So why put that in? I think I'm going to go with the best chirp of the night, where a guy was being really ironic, saying that Professor Brown is a real hockey genius. So that's actually heard on 6:30. Chad, you heard it.
Yeah, wasn't even on our show.
Yeah, it's so ironic. It's so funny. I was giggling about that all show.
I like it. You know what I'm going to do, because we probably didn't talk enough about it on the podcast tonight. I'm going to give the gem of the night to Stuart Skinner and that glove save. It was a weird shift. They were under pressure. The game could have totally gone the other way. And Struddy, you flashed the leather, man. Big save.
Nicely done. And good for him. He's starting to feel it, right? As Brownie said, 4 games in a row here. He's played pretty well.
Yeah, good stuff. Zuby, we're really glad to have you back, buddy. I know we were giving you the gears pretty good, but glad you're back. Steve was fantastic. Look forward to hearing from him again. But welcome back, my man. The fans missed you.
Oh yeah, good to be back. Cold. We're gonna have snow here soon too, so it's a bit of a rude awakening from the Mexico trip. But yeah, glad to be back. Glad to be right in the thick of things, back in the pods, and getting to talk about a couple wins. That's always fun too.
You are the voice of the fan here on Got Your Back. Thank you so much for tuning in on the live stream. For those of you that hung in here with us tonight, and there was quite a few of you, we really appreciate that. And thanks for your downloads and your subscriptions on the podcast platforms as well. Leave us a review on iTunes if you get a couple of minutes. We'd love to know what you think about the podcast. Huge thanks as always to our amazing title sponsors, Sherwood Buick GMC. We'll be back in a couple of days, folks. Have a great day, night, whenever you're listening, and we'll talk soon.